It's Friday night and Celtic are finally back in action. Yes, it's been 41 long days since that heartbreaking end to last season at Hampden, when we left the pitch after the Scottish Cup final with that tightness in our chests. But tonight marks the beginning of a new chapter, and sure, it may only be a preseason friendly, the first of the summer, no less, but that doesn't take away from the excitement. Whether it's the first team, the youth teams, or even the academy players wearing their famous green and white, the reality is simple: Celtic are back, and for fans around the world, that means everything. We'll talk about tonight's game later, but make no mistake, the build-up to this fixture has been completely overshadowed by a piece of news that has dominated Celtic headlines for the past 24 hours. The big news, the one that grabs the headlines, the one that has fans talking and the buzz exploding: Nicholas Kuhn is leaving. He's leaving Celtic, and it's not just speculation anymore, it's almost a fact. Yesterday afternoon, leading voices in the transfer world confirmed the move. A permanent transfer has been agreed between Celtic and Italian side Como. The reported fee is €19 million, or just under £16.5 million, personal terms settled. A medical scheduled for early next week. It's happening. Nicholas Kuhn is headed to Serie A. He's ready to become part of a project that's turning heads in Italy, led by none other than Cesc Fabregas, who has been a driving force behind Kuhn's arrival. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because Como also landed Alexandro Bernabei on a permanent deal not long ago, another former Celta player joining the Italian side. The links are piling up. Now let's talk about the fee for a moment. €19 million might not seem like a record amount in the current market, but from Celtic's perspective, it's a huge piece of business. It stands as one of the biggest transfer fees we've ever received. In fact, it's reportedly the fifth biggest in our history, behind names like Matt O'Reilly, Kieran Tierney, and Moussa Dembele. When you consider we signed Kuhn for around £3.5 million just a year and a half ago from Rapid Vienna, that's a truly impressive return on investment. But if we step back from the numbers and analyze it emotionally and tactically, things get a little more complicated. Was it the right decision? Are we going to regret letting him go? The truth is, it depends on which Nicholas Kuhn you remember, because last season, there were really the versions of him in the first half of the campaign. He was electric, week in, week out. He was one of our standout players, especially under the bright lights of the Champions League. His performances at Celtic Park on those European nights were a joy to behold, brimming with confidence, pace, and skill against teams like Lazio and Leipzig. He looked like a genuine European talent. At the time, it seemed we had unearthed a gem. But then the second half of the season arrived, and with it a different Kuhn, one who at times seemed disconnected and unmotivated. Some fans believe it was after the draw against Bayern Munich that he lost interest, but in reality, the loss of intensity became visible even earlier. Despite scoring in Germany, his overall performances didn't reach the level he had established months earlier. His form dipped, his body language changed, and his impact on games diminished significantly. From a player the attack was built around, he became someone the manager often called on at rest, most notably in the derby defeat to Celtic Park and the shock-away win against St. Johnstone. It's hard not to read those substitutions into the mix. Brendan Rodgers, a manager always vocal about his expectations, clearly wasn't impressed. However, to be fair, he still relied on Kuhn in key moments. After all, he did start the Scottish Cup final. So while the relationship may have soured, it didn't break down. Still, the sale makes perfect sense. Given his inconsistent form and potential desire to leave, getting that amount is a win, especially considering we were more likely to sign the Kuhn of the last 5 months this season than the one who took Europe by storm. It feels like he saw Celtic as a springboard, a platform to shine and get promoted to a top league. And that's fine. That's the reality of our model. We attract talent, develop it, and sell it. Not every player needs to be a legend. Some simply do their job, make a difference, and leave the club in better condition than they found it. There's been a lot of outrage online, with fans accusing him of a lack of interest and commitment. And while there's some truth to his performances, let's not forget the first half of last season. He delivered when we needed him, helped us in the league, and shone in Europe. That contribution shouldn't be forgotten just because his performances decline afterward. This isn't a failed signing. That's what the model is designed to do. Buy low, sell high, reinvest. It worked with Josip Juranovic. It worked with others. Now it's working again. Kuhn wasn't here to be the next Henrik Larsson. He was here to help us for a while, and now he's embarking on a new challenge, and what a signing we've made. £16.5 million gives the club significant resources to return to the market. The key now is what we do with them. We can't afford to wait 5 months for the next player to adapt. Not with Champions League qualification just around the corner. And the pressure to defend the title on, whoever arrives has to be ready to hit the ground running. There's already speculation about replacements. We have James Forrest-Young and young Benjamin Nygren, who Rodgers recently said could play on the wing. But let's face it, we need pace. Someone who can open up defenses, get in behind, and create space. Nygren has potential, but he's not that kind of player. We need a good right winger, someone quick, agile, and ready for European football. And frankly, there are no excuses now. We have the money. The club structure is solid. It's the right time to show a little ambition. Maybe this time, instead of spending $3 million, we'll spend 6, 7, or even 8. Show that we're serious about progress. Because if we want this model to be sustainable, the team has to keep winning and competing at the highest level. Selling Kuhn is one thing. Replacing him effectively is the real challenge. With Nicholas Kuhn heading to the Italian coast and Celtic pocketing a hefty fee. All eyes are on the future. The new season is just around the corner, and while tonight's game is billed as little more than a warm-up, it's far more important for a club in transition. With so many players leaving, returning from loan, or suffering injuries, this first preseason game gives us a glimpse into the team's immediate future, even if it's only a shadow of the squad that will eventually compete in the Premier League and Europe. Tonight's game against Queen's Park kicks off at 7:45 at Lesser Hampton. It's hardly glamorous, and yes, most of the senior players won't be there, but for those who are, especially the youngsters, it's a golden opportunity to show they deserve the chance. With a full week of training under their belts, guys like Callum McGregor, Odin, Thiago Holm, and new defender Austin Trusty could all get some minutes. But let's not pretend this will be our strongest lineup yet. The squad has been split between those who returned early and those still enjoying extended breaks from international duty. And the manager will likely field to different starting lineups in both halves. For many fans, tonight is less about the result and more about seeing the green and whites back on the pitch. It's been over a month without Celtic football. And however insignificant the game may look on paper, the appetite is huge. There's also the question of rhythm. The club has had some tricky summers in recent years, starts that dragged on, and required some heroic last-minute plays to recover. With the Champions League qualifiers just over 6 weeks away, there's no room for slow preparations or periods of rest. Every training session, every friendly, matters. One player we won't see tonight and whose absence might be surprising is Cameron Carter-Vickers. Initially, people might have assumed he was just resting. After all, he missed a couple of games towards the end of last season with a hamstring injury. But it turns out he had surgery this summer, a clean-up operation, as they say, but nothing serious. Thankfully, he's been back in Lennoxtown for a while, but not with the group. He's training individually to regain his fitness. The good news is that it's not expected to be a long-term problem. Reports suggest he's days away from returning to full training, not weeks. It's a relief, especially considering how crucial he is to our defensive structure. Carter-Vickers, despite all the criticism he receives for injuries, has racked up a good number of appearances over the past few seasons. It just feels like he misses more than he actually makes due to how conspicuous his absence is. The defense looks completely different without him, less composed and less organized. When he's not there, it shows. So let's cross our fingers that he's fully recovered by the time we go to Portugal for the next phase of preseason. That trip is likely when the important stuff begins, proper preparation for competitive football, where Rodgers will want his starting lineup to start gelling. Elsewhere, the left-back situation continues to evolve, with Greg Taylor's surprise move to Greece, joining PAOK. Another Scottish left-back is following in his footsteps in the Greek Super League. James Penrith, formerly of Hearts, is reportedly set to sign with AEK Athens. Celtic haven't shown any concrete interest in Penrith, but this is yet another reminder of the limited availability of domestic full-backs. With Taylor's departure and Alexandro Bernabei's departure, that position is suddenly weakened. It remains to be seen whether the club signs a replacement, or if they rely on someone like Kuhn to step up. Speaking of new blood, the club recently announced a crop of young talents who have signed their first professional contracts, 7 youngsters in total. names not yet well known to most fans, but who could become so in the future. Among them are Hassan Dembele and Rocco Di Giacomo, both with solid footballing careers. Hassan is the younger brother of Karamoko Dembele, while Rocco is the son of Paul Di Giacomo, a former striker who played in the Scottish leagues. These signings won't make headlines, but they are key to the club's long-term plans. Building from within, developing the squad, and complementing with smart signings, that's the balance Celtic has always sought. On a more somber note, the funeral of club legend John Clarke also took place today. The service took place at St. Mary's Church, and although space was limited, the club shone brightly by live-streaming the Mass on its official YouTube channel. For someone who gave so much to the club for decades, both on and off the pitch, it was a fitting tribute. The funeral procession passed along Celtic Way this afternoon, with supporters gathered to pay their respects. You can only imagine the memories and emotions at that moment. A true servant of Celtic and a name forever etched in our history. Now, returning to the pitch in the upcoming friendlies, we also eagerly await the game against Sporting Lisbon later this month in Faro. Fans traveling to the Algarve have already started inquiring about tickets, where to sit, and how to participate. One fan in particular, Alex Thompson, got in touch asking where Celtic fans plan to sit. From what we've seen, tickets are on general sale and fairly easy to buy, with no major restrictions unless, it seems, you're under 3 years old. Prices are reasonable, and the sections appear to be fairly evenly distributed. There doesn't appear to be a dedicated away section, so there will likely be a mix of scattered supporters. The advice, just pick a seat and go and enjoy the game. It's preseason. There's unlikely to be much tension in the stands, just fans soaking up the sun and enjoying some football during their holidays, of course. The transfer market is where all the energy is now. With Kuhn's departure and the clear need for reinforcements, the pressure is on the recruitment team to act quickly and prudently. The model has worked well for us, but its robustness depends on the next move. This time, bringing in another project won't be enough. We need a ready-made player, someone with experience, someone who understands the demands of Celtic Football Club and what it means to perform under pressure. Champions League nights are relentless. The domestic competition is intensifying and the fans expect interest, a clear sign that we're not content with selling high, but rather with building at a higher price. There's always a balance to be found. You have to be astute in the market, but also bold when necessary. This summer feels like one of those moments when boldness is required. Rodgers knows this. He's spoken before about the importance of character in the team, not just skill, but also the mentality to thrive in this unique environment. Whoever we bring in next must be the center of attention. So tonight's game isn't about the score line, it's about beginnings, new opportunities, first impressions. It's about seeing the boys back on the pitch. No matter who's wearing the shirt, it's about building toward another season of memories, battles, highs and lows. It starts tonight in a quiet corner of Glasgow, under the lights of Lesser Hampton. The setting may be modest, but the meaning behind it is enormous. Celtic are back, and here we go again. Before we continue, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to receive all the exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss a single detail about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Whispers are growing louder around Celtic Park, and the name on everyone's lips is Brendan Rodgers. The Northern Irishman, who returned to the hoops amid much fanfare, may now be facing a premature end to his second spell in charge. While nothing official has been confirmed, there's a mounting sense in Glasgow that all might not be well behind the scenes. Insiders have begun to murmur that the board's confidence in Rodgers could be wavering. Despite securing domestic success, the style of play and the performances in European competitions have left fans and pundits alike asking questions. A string of unconvincing displays has only added fuel to the fire. And with expectations always sky-high at Celtic, even minor slip-ups are magnified. Speculation is rife that discussions at the highest level are already taking place, while the club maintains a tight-lipped stance publicly. Sources close to the matter suggest that contingency plans could already be in motion. Names like Enzo Maresca and Kjetil Knutsen have been casually tossed into conversation by those in the know, hinting that Celtic might be preparing for life after Rodgers just in case. Rodgers himself has appeared increasingly tense in recent press conferences, brushing off questions about his future with short, curt responses. It's a far cry from the confident tone he struck upon his return. Some supporters have voiced frustration over perceived tactical rigidity and a lack of spark on the pitch. Others point to transfer dealings that haven't quite delivered the desired impact. Of course, it's all hearsay for now, but in Scottish football, where the line between rumor and reality often blurs, these whispers can sometimes be the smoke before the fire. If results don't improve and fast, the Rodgers era might be drawing to a close sooner than anyone imagined. Whether the board will pull the trigger remains to be seen. But one thing's for certain, the pressure in the East End of Glasgow is mounting. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.